I'm finding it very difficult to meet them all, and I'd quite like an intimate community where, you know, I'm friends with everybody. So I'm hoping that our current program of reducing the number of Jews will be successful, and then we'll be a coherent group. I mean, at the moment it's not working very well. The other thing I'm a bit dissatisfied with is I don't think we're arguing with each other enough. The quality of argument is exceptionally poor, and I'm really not happy with this kind of feeling that, you know, aren't we really all basically the same? We really are not. One of the things I've learned through Limmud is to meet and talk to Jews who hold different opinions to mine. And that for me is one of the most exciting encounters. And I want to honour the difference of opinion by taking it desperately seriously. There are real issues that stand between the different denominations and stances, and they matter. And I really hope that soon we'll be grown up enough to actually be able to take those differences seriously, learn from them, grow from each other's insights without necessarily having to shift our own personal positions, be able to stay in the same room without having to say, it doesn't really matter, we're all kind of basically the same. We started to go through that journey with interfaith dialogue. You know, we don't have to sit and reassure ourselves that Easter and Pesach are basically the same, except for the shape of the matzahs and the eggs. You know, and I hope we'll be able to do that amongst Jews soon. So those two things, I think, you know, I would really like to see us do: diminish the number of Jews and argue a bit more. Other than that, I suppose I'm reminded of a story, particularly listening to Arna's comments just then, which took place back in Liverpool about 20 years ago. I was a co-founder of a Jewish-Christian group with the Bishop of Liverpool. I think it was the first one in Britain which tried to actually deal with the big issues that divided us. It was intended to go for the kind of major principles. We were only going to talk about things we differed about. And it was quite a select little band of 10 Christian ministers from different denominations, and 3 or 4 Jews, which meant to say that the Jews were punching above their weight in the numbers. And at one point, one of the Jews said, a rabbi said, one of the Christians said, well, of course you don't understand, he said to us Jews. We're very worried in the Christian community because we're losing numbers at a tremendous rate, and the Christian community is diminishing appallingly. And one of the rabbis said, you've got us completely wrong. The Jewish community is in crisis. You know, Jews are hemorrhaging at an astonishing rate, and Jewish levels of commitment are you know, falling away year after year. It's very worrying. So this Christian minister said, I didn't realize that. Do you mean to say that Jews nowadays don't circumcise their children anymore? And this rabbi said, well, I mean, yes, they do, but I mean, there's an example. You know, a lot of people, they don't use a proper moel, they circumcise their children in a hospital with a doctor or something like that. Oh, I see, said the Christian minister. And Passover, they don't do the Passover meal? Well, said the rabbi, is another example, yes. Well, probably yes, and most of them do, but you know, they don't do the whole service properly, and they probably don't keep the whole week of Passover. Oh, right. And the little box on the door, you don't put the little box on the door in? Well, there's another example. He said, yes, probably, yes, a lot of people do, but it's supposed to have the, you know, the little parchment inside, and a lot of people don't do that, and even if they do, they don't have it on every door inside the house, and just, you know, oh, right. And the Friday night dinner is not, I thought that was like a big family, well, exactly. They do, they get together on Friday night, but, you know, they don't do all the proper rituals, the kiddush and fasting on the Day of Atonement. Well, there you are, yes, probably, they do fast, but, well, by now, the Bishop of Liverpool was just rolling in the aisles, and the rabbi turned to him and said, well, why are you laughing? He said, you don't realize that there's not a Christian minister in this room who would not give his eye teeth to have a community full of people who are prepared to starve themselves for a day, mutilate their baby boys, eat crackers for a week, get together once a week with their whole family, and hang a sign on the front of their doors saying, "Christians living here," and you don't think this is sufficient? So we are an astonishing bunch of people. I mean, we live in an open world where anybody can go anywhere. You know these fear of 47% and 52% of intermarriages help. What that means is that 1 in 2 of Jews is choosing to marry a Jew. I mean, do you know what the odds are against that happening? Well, that's just remarkable. I mean, if Reader's Digest could get 1 in 2 people to respond to their mail-outs, you know, they wonder what had gone wrong. And here we are, an open society. People can come and go as they choose. Jewish young people have the world before them. And 1 in 2 choose to marry a Jew, despite everything we do to depress them and discourage them from remaining in the Jewish world. This is remarkable. If we were just a little bit nicer, a little bit more interesting, a little bit more open, we could raise those numbers hugely, because we're already so far ahead of what is likely to happen. So I just think we're an astonishing bunch. Bring the numbers down a bit so I can get together with them, argue a bit more, and you know, the future's sorted.
Thank you, Karen. David, I'm very delighted that your daughter has come along and reduced the average age of the panel. Are you speaking for the Suissa family or is she?
I need a babysitter. In the audience? Okay. I love Jews. I love Jews, especially when they're irritating. I think when they're at the most irritating, I find that it's a test of, does the mic work? Yes. Or it should be this one? No. And I've always felt that when they're the most different from me is when I feel it's the real test of Havat Israel. If I just hung out with Jews that were like me, that agreed with me, then it wouldn't really be a test of Havat Israel. And I've spent most of my life hanging out with Jews that I disagree with, that are different than I am. I've hung out with Lubavitchers and Chassid. I was raised Sephardic. And for some reason, I developed an insatiable curiosity for everything Jewish. So when I think of what's missing in the Jewish world, okay. Yeah, absolutely. So when I always thought that it's really easy to give, but it's very hard to take. And the things that has nourished my Judaism is when I've taken from other Jews. When I've met Karliner Chassid and I've asked to take his melodies, when I've taken the Lubavitch melodies, although not their food. And whenever somebody has taken from me, it's been the greatest honor he's given me is when he was interested in my Sephardic background and my Sephardic culture. I've always felt that that was the deepest connection I found with other Jews, is when they took from me and when I took from them. But it's very difficult to do that, because when you take from someone, you lose control. It's a little threatening. If I take from a Jew who's different than me, then I might sort of become like them and lose my roots and my connections. And it's also threatening for the other person. Maybe threatening is too strong of a word. But we have a human nature that dominates everything, and that human nature is it's comfortable to stay in where we are, in our own little cubicle. And I've always tried to sort of break those cubicles and encourage us to jump the walls. There's a person in the audience I've never met anybody who jumps as many walls. It's Chaim Seidler-Feller. He's there, we talk all the time. He is tremendously curious about stuff, especially that has nothing to do with his background. So I've always felt that curiosity for me is like the big secret to revitalizing Judaism. But because of my advertising background, nothing exists without a specific idea. So I find it always hard to talk about problems without coming up with a real specific idea. So I'll just give you 3 of them, if you don't mind. First one is, and you can't talk about a specific idea without a .com. So these are 3 of my dreams, 3 organizations that I would love to see in America. The first one is a type of a Jewish YouTube where the millions of Jews around America would be encouraged